Hi. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Senate as an independent chamber. Now, unlike the House of Representatives, the Senate is pretty laid back. And the reason it is because there are just so few members. Okay. There's only a few senators that attend the sessions. There's only 100 desks, and most of the time it's the Senate leaders that are at present. And so this is the empty Senate chamber, and it's got kind of this old feel to it. It is sometimes seen as the more prestigious body because there's two from every state, whereas opposed in the House of Representatives there can be as many as 53 from a state. However, all of the complex rules and complex leadership is in the House because, as we've always said, there are more people. Okay, so what are some things that we want to talk about with the Senate? Okay, the first thing is that paramount to the senators is this idea of freedom of speech and expression. They do everything that they can to protect a senator's right to say what they're thinking on the Senate floor. So there are very few rules regarding debate. Okay. Now the Senate leaders, like the Vice President of the Senate and the President pro tem, are not as important in the Senate as those in the House. The majority and minority floor leaders, however, are extremely important. Again, like I said, the leader is the Vice President. He can recognize members, which call on them so they can vote. He can only vote when there's a tie, and he cannot take part in any debates. Now the thing is that the reason he's there is he's really there to represent the executive branch. He is not a member of the Senate. Now the President pro tem, or temporary, takes over when the Vice President is not there. He is usually the senior member of the majority party. But for the most part, this is kind of a ceremonial position. And he doesn't really have a tremendous amount of power, not like the Speaker of the House. As I said, the majority and the minority floor leaders are the most important officers in the Senate. They're the ones that still steer the bills through the Senate. They're the ones that assign them to committee. The minority leader is the one that kind of organizes the criticisms of the bill and tries to keep the minority party working together. So there is a very important power in the in the Senate that is different from the House of Representatives. First of all, unlike the House, the Senate does not have a rules committee, okay? And they only have two calendars. They have a calendar of general orders and they have executive calendar. And the big thing is that they basically bring all of the issues that they want to talk about to the floor by what is called unanimous consent. And all it is kind of very casually like this. Hey, you guys want to talk about this? Is there any opposition to talking about this? Oh, good. So let's talk about this. It's a very casual kind of, they don't have to go through all of these steps and procedures to get things to come to the House floor like the House does. They just basically kind of bring the subjects in front of them and talk about them when they want. Now, a very unique power to the Senate is what is called the filibuster. The filibuster is basically unlimited debate. It is a strategy that you talk a bill to death until the people agree to either modify it and compromise or they abandon it. The only rules are they have to stand and talk. Okay, they can after the first 3 hours. For the first 3 hours, they have to be germane, which remember is to be on topic. So if they are debating an energy bill, they have to talk for 3 hours without talking, without stopping, without sitting, and they have to be on topic. After the 3 hours, they can talk about anything that they want. Now, Ted Cruz recently did a solo filibuster that I believe lasted about 20 hours. He read after the first 3 hours, then he read from the Constitution, he read the Declaration of Independence. I believe he even read Dr. Seuss. The only way to stop a filibuster is a thing that's called cloture. I know it's got a T in it, but it's cloture. And 3/5 of the senators have to agree to limit the debate to 1 hour each. Everybody gets an hour. It is really difficult to get cloture because we go back to the idea that the fundamental issue for the senators is freedom of expression. Now, this week, we're hearing a little bit about the fact that there might be a filibuster over the new healthcare plan. And so there is talk that they're going to use the rule of cloture, and then they would only need a simple majority to get the bill passed. It will be interesting to see whether they do that or not. Okay? The filibuster is not as strong as it used to be back in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. because the threat of a filibuster will often stop and cause people to compromise. Finally, politics in the Senate. Just like in the House of Representatives, everything revolves around the idea of the majority party. The majority party controls the flow of legislation, what's going to be talked about, how it's going to be talked about. So right now, the Republicans are definitely in the driver's seat. Okay? Now, you might need to go to your book to finish out any notes that you have. And so we'll talk to you soon.